Hi, my name is Florent Farge, and today I will try to show you how I draw a portrait from a photograph while trying to improve my skills at live drawing. I will make this drawing from a photograph, but at the same time imagine that I am drawing a real person. Keeping that in mind, I won't use any technique that can't be applied to a situation where a model sits in front of me. So forget about tracing paper, grids, projectors, or any kind of geometric measuring tool. I won't use any of that. The best measuring tool is your eye, and it takes a lot of practice to use it properly. It's about your eyes and brain learning to work together, little by little. I want to show you a few tips that you can use in your practice to get better prepared for live portrait drawing. This exercise doesn't replace live drawing, but can train you for it. These tips are good to train your eye to become more accurate. They're not really relevant if your plan is to draw only from photographs and rely solely on tracing paper. But they can make a huge difference if you'd like to draw someone's portrait from life. Okay, let's start. I start by loosely drawing the top and bottom marks. I first place a small line on the paper and then check it to see if it's at the same level as the top of the model. Then I try to find the width of my subject and do the same thing. Try to be precise with the first lines, as they are like the foundations of a building. Let's talk about the setup for a moment. When I use a reference picture, I always try to print it at the size of my drawing. My final drawing will have the exact size of my photograph. This way, my brain will be less focused on scaling and more able to compare and appreciate the differences between the model and the drawing. I placed my drawing and my photo next to each other. If I had a real person sit as a model, I would probably put a chair next to the edge of my drawing board, a little behind, and as close as possible from eye level. This drawing exercise focuses primarily on comparing the reference picture and the drawing. And it's a lot easier to do a comparison if everything is at eye level and at the same size. If you have to move your head all the time and worry about scaling, then you would lose some valuable information. I also work vertically while standing up in front of my drawing board. Standing up is a good way to look at your drawing with a more accurate eye. It's important to move, be able to step back and not always look down at your drawing with the same angle. Of course, you can do perfect drawings while seated, but to train your eyes, the standing position has real benefits. Also important, don't work small. It may seem easier, but it's not. Work on a decent scale, not too big and not too small. I measure by doing the only thing that I could do if a real person was in front of me. Hold my pencil in front of my eye. Keep your arms straight and steady and compare the lengths between the point of your lead and your thumb. Check the lengths first on the model, then the drawing, and to be sure, check once or twice again. Important thing about checking for accuracy. Always use your eyes first and your tools next. Look at the drawing and try to find something that's not right. Then and only then use your pencil in front of your eyes. When you draw from life, it's always a good idea to have a mirror with you. Your brain becomes used to your drawing after a while. Looking at it in the mirror is a good way to force your brain to see what he does not want to see. Because you have the photo right next to you, it can be tempting to take a ruler and measure on the flat surface. But try to avoid that. You want to get your eye to be able to judge proportions. It's hard at first, but if you don't make it easy for you, it will come. Don't hesitate to place mark and structure lines on the paper. This approach consists in placing rough information to then be able to refine it. It's like sculpting. You start with a large block of stone and rough lines, and then, little by little, you refine it. Like a sculptor would do, I don't worry about the features of the face at the moment. I only consider the abstract shapes, the biggest blocks. I also stand back a lot. I look at both my drawing and the model from a distance. It makes it a lot easier to spot the mistakes. This is a benefit from drawing in a standing position. Again, I don't consider the features of the face individually. I try to locate the bedbug line, also called terminator line. It is the line separating the lights from the shadows. I work only the main lines in the beginning, and I try to avoid getting into details too early. The tendency is to get absorbed by details, and this can be a problem. By working the big blocks first, I make sure that the structure of the portrait is solid. I check the angles by holding my pencil in front of me at an angle. A good trick is to locate a strong line and mentally extend it, as if it never stopped. Try to see what other lines it crosses, what kind of shapes it would create. It really helps with the overall structure of the drawing. When I am satisfied with my line drawing, I start looking at the big masses of values. I cover the entire shadow side with a light and even value. This will help me check the accuracy of my portrait in a new way, not with lines, but with mass. It's important to know that our visual perception doesn't really work with lines. Lines, in fact, are a creation of our brain. They don't exist in the visible world. What our eyes actually perceive is a juxtaposition of large value masses, like a giant puzzle of shapes and values. This is why, if you try to draw what you see, it's best to go beyond line drawing. I am not shading at the moment. I just work on separating lights and shadows with a middle value so that I can check and compare again. I am trying to make patches of values emerge. At this point, it's important that you don't rush to shading. Look at your drawing, take your time and try to be very picky. In a portrait, the smallest difference can make or break the likeness. I try to squint a lot. It blurs out my field of vision and makes the big value masses more apparent. I spend a lot of time off camera, doing nothing but looking at the drawing and the model, back and forth, and a lot of new things appear. I am still not thinking, this is an eye, this is a nose, etc. But I try to see abstract shapes on the model and reproduce them as accurately as I can. If this is too difficult to see abstract shapes for you, a nice trick is to look for various shapes in the drawing and give them an identity. For instance, I see some sort of mosquito head in the shadow of the upper lip. I know it may sound weird and you probably don't see it, but it doesn't matter. See what you want to see. It can really help refine the shadow shapes in your drawings. Next, I try to locate the very darkest part of the drawing and go as dark as my pencil can go. This is when the shading starts. I will not give too much details on how I do the shading, because this isn't really the point of this video. Here you can have fun and shade using the techniques that you like. Remember to stay flexible. The problem with shading is that it makes the drawing look finished, and it makes any correction a lot harder. Be aware that you may still need to change a lot of things to be perfectly accurate. Now, as my drawing progresses, I go further into details. The more advanced your drawing will be, the more information it will give you on what to do next. I really go around and look for things that still need to be changed. The danger is to feel satisfied too early and miss a lot of simple tweaks to make. I swing my eyes back and forth quickly on my model and drawing. I go pretty fast, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth numerous times, and things start to appear. I pay attention to the quality of the edges. I don't really blend much, but to kill a hard edge, I sometimes use a little brush or my fingers. Okay, so this is the final result. This is not really the kind of drawing that I would do all the time, but for practice it works pretty well. To check your progression, ask someone to give you critique, even someone that doesn't really know anything about drawing, because looking at each other is a huge part of your communication. We are all pretty good at spotting very subtle details in the human face. You can also use tools and transfer paper, but only in the end and when you are finished. If you are interested in this approach and want to take it a step further, I recommend that you get the re-edition of the drawing course manual by Charles Bargue and Jean-Léon Gérôme. It will provide you with a large number of plates that are designed to be copied with pretty much the same technique I gave you here. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to comment and subscribe, and see you next time. Have fun drawing. Bye.